Hey everyone, my name is Alora. For those of you who are new here, welcome to my channel and welcome to my new bookcase setup. I just got them all moved. I'm still figuring out the lighting, so we'll work on that. But today, I'm going to be talking about my favorite fairy tale stories. So let's go ahead and get started. I have a soft spot for fairy tales. You know, those stories that contain a fullness, a sparkle, as if the air in the story hangs with a warm, expectant heaviness. I love them. I am going to begin with a new fairy tale, newish anyway, and that is The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman. Now, if you've been watching my channel, I've mentioned this a few times in the past year. It's because it's really wonderful and I love it. Neil Gaiman's writing is so enchanting, and this particular story features gorgeous illustrations by Chris Riddell. It's all done in pen and ink, and so it's intricately detailed and absolutely beautiful. In addition to the beautiful writing style and the beautiful illustrations, though, I want to mention how unique of a twist this story is on the classic Sleeping Beauty fairy tale. This is not your average Sleeping Beauty. It does definitely include a lot of the original elements, but it has its own spin on things, and I would absolutely recommend checking this one out. Oh, by the way, Neil Gaiman actually recently came out with another one entitled Odd and the Frost Giants, and it's also illustrated by Chris Riddell in that same pen and ink style. So as a little teaser, I'm going to let you know that I will be featuring that book in my upcoming March haul, which is going to be posted pretty soon. The next book that I want to talk about is a relic from my youth, and that is The Rumpelstiltskin Problem by Vivian Van Velde. Now, she's written quite a few really great books, but this one is just hilarious. There are 6 short retellings of the classical Rumpelstiltskin story, but they fix all of the problems associated with the story. Like, why would Rumpelstiltskin, if he can spin straw into gold, trade for a small golden ring and things like that. Things that just don't make sense. All of the stories in this collection are so clever and funny, and it's very short, so it's perfect for one sitting, or you could read one short story at night before you go to bed, something like that. Very fun, very light. Next I want to talk about a bit of a fan favorite, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Miss Sarah J. Maas. She is the absolute queen. She's amazing as an author. I love all of her work. Basically, she's the best, period. Anyways, this is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but in this version, the protagonist, Freya, is actually really badass. She's this huntress who provides for her family because her father has basically given up on life, so she provides for her father and her 2 sisters. She ends up being taken into the land of the Fae, into the Spring Court specifically. So Sarah J. Maas took a lot more inspiration from the original version of the Beauty and the Beast story than from the Disney version. This book includes such great characterization and wonderful world building. All of the courts, especially in this one, the Spring Court, are so beautifully depicted and well developed. And as I have said many times in the past, the second book is even more incredible, so I would absolutely recommend continuing on with this series once you've started. The third book comes out super soon. It's coming out in May. I'm so excited. Can't wait to get my hands on it. I've pre-ordered a copy, but I live in Alaska, so pre-orders don't come on the day that they're released. They're shipped on that day, so that's a little frustrating, but I'm very excited about this. I want to bounce back now to another favorite of my childhood. This book is really beaten up, so sorry about that, but it's Once Upon a Marigold, and this is such a quirky book in the best way possible. Such a wonderful read. It says part comedy, part love story, part everything but the kitchen sink. This book follows the story of a young man named Christian who develops this friendship with the princess who lives in a palace nearby. They write these cute and heartfelt and funny notes back and forth between each other by carrier pigeon. Marigold in this story is supposed to be married off to some foreign dignitary or another, but basically she is doing everything within her power to ward off her potential suitors, and their friendship is just really great, and it obviously, part love story, develops a little bit into something more, but it's completely kid appropriate. Very, very enjoyable, definitely worth the time to read. The next one that I have is a little bit different, and that is A Treasure's Trove. This book, just so many memories associated with this book. I spent countless hours with my parents on our living room floor trying to figure out the puzzle. Essentially, this is a fairy tale, and it's illustrated, but the author created an actual treasure hunt to go along with it, which culminated in over $100,000, I believe it was, worth of real jeweled prizes. Really fun. Lots of people participated trying to figure it out. Basically, you're decoding different aspects of the book in order to find out where these coins were located in real parks across America. Anyway, it's very engaging, a great cognitive puzzle. I absolutely recommend buying this book and then also buying the solution guide to go along with it, and then trying to work through the puzzles yourself and then going back through and figuring out what the actual solutions were. That story for me though was so magical and contained so many wonderful, fond memories. Next up I want to talk about a few fairy tale collections that I own. The first one is the classic Fairytale Treasury. This is beautiful, full of gorgeous illustrations. They're more colorful than I generally like, but I want to show you my favorite one. My favorite story from this collection is Thumbelina. So there's one example of a picture from the Thumbelina story. It's very delicate and beautiful. Plus the edges are golden shimmery. You can't beat that. The other fairy tale collection that I own is a little bit more unique, a little bit less conventional, and that is A World of Fairy Tales, and 10 celebrated artists reinvented classic tales. And so the art style in this book, well, the art styles are all very different from one another. My favorite is Hansel and Gretel, so let me show you. Here's an example of one of the illustrations from Hansel and Gretel. This is so beautiful. And the stories in this one are rather unique too. It's not just Beauty and the Beast, Thumbelina, etc. There are a lot of really unique ones. Alright, I'm going to throw in a bonus one, which isn't technically a fairy tale, but still has that same sumptuous, indulgent feeling, and that is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. This came out relatively recently, and Marissa Meyer is the author of the Lunar Chronicles. If you haven't read those are all fairy tale retellings. Technically, those are fairy tales. This one, less of a fairy tale. It's basically an Alice in Wonderland retelling where we follow the Queen of Hearts when she was a young dreamer. Wanted to own her own bakery and wanted to be free. This is a bit of a sad tale, but also beautiful and whimsical and lovely, and the language is very fairy tale-esque. I definitely love Marissa Meyer's writing. Okay friends, so those are my favorite fairy tales of my youth and the more contemporary recent ones that I have read. What are some of your favorite fairy tales? Because I absolutely adore reading this type of story, so please let me know down in the comments below if you have any good recommendations for me. As always, thank you for watching. I love you so much. Until next time, stay happy, stay healthy. Bye guys.